Budget 176 on the pushback.
Slamjet 256 on the pushback.
Starburst 268 will land runway 28.
Budget 176 cleared immediate takeoff. Runway 28.
Starburst 268, speed up. Budget 681, X-Side off.
Slamjet 256 cleared for takeoff. Runway 32.
Starburst 268, cross, runway 34.
Budget 176 will land. Runway 28. Budget 176, speed up.
Starburst 261, X-Side off.
Budget 176 will land. Runway 32.
Starburst 807 cross. Runway 28.
Budget 681, cross, runway 28. Starburst 261, cross, runway 34. Starburst 268 on the pushback. Slamjet 204, speed up. Starburst 268, cleared for takeoff, runway 28.
Starburst 807 request taxi. Starburst 807 on the pushback.
Slamjet 204, cross, runway 34.
Budget 176 cross. Runway 28.
Starburst 261 on the pushback.
Starburst 807 cleared for takeoff. Runway 28.
Budget 681, cleared for takeoff, runway 28. Starburst 268 will land, runway 28. Starburst 261, cleared for takeoff, runway 28. Starburst 268, speed up. Slamjet 204, request taxi. Slamjet 204 on the pushback.
Budget 176 request taxi. Budget 176 on the pushback. Budget 700, speed up.
Slamjet 256 cross. Runway 28. Starburst 807 speed up.
Starburst 268, cross, runway 34. Slamjet 204, line up, runway 28. Slamjet 204, cleared for takeoff, runway 28.
Starburst 807 cross. Runway 34. Slamjet 256 request taxi. Slamjet 256 on the pushback.
Starburst 268, request taxi. Starburst 268 on the pushback.
Starburst 883 cross. Runway 28.
Budget 700 on the pushback.
Slamjet 256 cleared for takeoff. Runway 28.
Starburst 268, cleared for takeoff, runway 28. Starburst 261, cross, runway 34. Budget 681, request taxi. Budget 681 on the pushback.
Budget 176, Wheelman, runway 32. Budget 176, right turn. Budget 176, Wheelman, runway 28.
Starburst 883. Request taxi.
Blue Star 576, right turn. Blue Star 576, will land runway 32. Starburst 261 on the pushback.
Budget 110 on the pushback. Starburst 807. Line up. Runway 28.
Budget 176, expedite off.
Starburst 807. Cleared for takeoff. Runway 28.
Slamjet 204, cross, runway 34.
Budget 176, cross runway 34.
Slamjet 256. Expedite off.
Starburst 268, expedite off. Budget 681, cleared immediate takeoff, runway 32.
Starburst 883. Cleared for takeoff. Runway 28.
Starburst 261, cleared for takeoff, runway 28.
Slamjet 256. Cross. Runway 34.
Slamjet 204, request taxi. Blue Star 576, cross, runway 28.
Starburst 807. Will land. Runway 28. Budget 110. Cleared for takeoff. Runway 32.
Budget 176, request taxi.
Starburst 649, will land, runway 28. Slamjet 204, cleared immediate takeoff, runway 28.
Slamjet 256. Request taxi. Slamjet 256 on the pushback.
Starburst 261, will land, runway 28. Starburst 261, slow down. Blue Star 576 on the pushback.
Budget 176, cleared for takeoff, runway 28.
Starburst 807. Cross. Runway 34. Starburst 883. Will land. Runway 28.
Starburst 261, speed up. Starburst 649, cross, runway 34.
Slamjet 256. Cleared for takeoff. Runway 28. Starburst 883. Speed up.
Budget 681, request taxi. Starburst 268 on the pushback. Budget 681 on the pushback. Starburst 261, cross, runway 34.
Starburst 807 on the pushback.
Blue Star 491, expedite off. Starburst 853, will land, runway 28.
Budget 700, request taxi.
Slamjet 204, request taxi. Starburst 268, cleared for takeoff, runway 28. Blue Star 491, cross, runway 34.
Budget 110. Request taxi. Budget 110 on the pushback.
Starburst 261 on the pushback. Starburst 853, speed up. Budget 681, cleared for takeoff, runway 32.
Big Jet 516. Will land. Runway 28.
Budget 176, cross runway 34.
Starburst 883. Cross. Runway 28.
Starburst 649, cleared for takeoff, runway 28. Starburst 853, cross, runway 34.
Budget 700, cleared immediate takeoff, runway 28.
Slamjet 256. Request taxi. Slamjet 256 on the pushback.
Blue Star 576, cross, runway 34.
Big Jet 516, expedite off.
Budget 176, request taxi. Budget 176, on the pushback.
Budget 681, expedite off.
Starburst 807 will land runway 28. Big Jet 516, cross runway 34.
Starburst 853 on the pushback. Blue Star 635, expedite off.
Budget 176, cleared for takeoff, runway 28.
Blue Star 576 on the pushback.
Starburst 807, speed up.
Starburst 268, request taxi. Starburst 268 on the pushback. Budget 681, request taxi. Budget 681 on the pushback.
Starburst 883, cleared for takeoff, runway 28.
Starburst 649, expedite off.
Slamjet 256, cleared immediate takeoff, runway 32.
Budget 700, cross runway 34.
Slamjet 204 on the pushback. Blue Star 635 on the pushback. Starburst 853, line up, runway 28.
Starburst 807, cross runway 28.
Starburst 853, cleared for takeoff, runway 28. Blue Star 287 will land, runway 28. Budget 681, cleared immediate takeoff, runway 28.
Budget 700, request taxi. Budget 700, on the pushback.
Budge 110 on the pushback. Slamjet 256, expedite off.
Slamjet 204, cleared for takeoff, runway 32.
Big Jet 580, will land, runway 32.
Blue Star 491, request taxi. Blue Star 491 on the pushback.
Big Jet 545, cross runway 34.
Blue Star 287, cross runway 34. Starburst 261 on the pushback.
Starburst 883, request taxi. Starburst 883 on the pushback. Big Jet 516, cleared for takeoff, runway 28.
Budget 681, expedite off. Starburst 268, cross runway 34.
Budget 176, request taxi.
Starburst 807, request taxi. Starburst 807 on the pushback.
Big Jet 127 will land, runway 28. Blue Star 576, right turn. Blue Star 635, clear for takeoff, runway 28. Budget 681, cross, runway 34.
Big Jet 580, on the pushback. Budget 700, cleared immediate takeoff, runway 28. Big Jet 545, request taxi. Big Jet 545, on the pushback.
Blue Star 287, request taxi. Blue Star 287 on the pushback.
Slamjet 256, cross runway 28.
Starburst 261, cleared for takeoff, runway 28. Budget 774, left turn.
Budge 110, cleared for takeoff, runway 32.
Budget 774 will land, runway 28. Blue Star 635 will land, runway 28. Big Jet 127 cross, runway 34.
Budget 176, cleared for takeoff, runway 28.
Budge 800, request taxi. Budge 800 on the pushback.
Blue Star 491, cleared for takeoff, runway 32. Big Jet 710 cross runway 34. Starburst 268, request taxi. Blue Star 635, expedite off.
Starburst 807, cleared immediate takeoff. Runway 28.
Slamjet 145 will land runway 28.